We're brothers. We're happy. No, I'm playing. Welcome back to another episode of the Then Out Podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate all the support up until this point, and hope for your continued support. This week we're going to get into three different topics. One we've already previously talked about initially, but Otis wasn't here for that, so we'll get into Obi-Wan with Otis later on. But the big honcho that I think we're all excited about, that we all agree is some good content, is that of Spy Family. I think Otis put me on to this show. And then I don't know if Ethan had already known about it beforehand, but
Yeah, I was trying to get you onto it also. Yeah.
yeah, I picked it up. I'm only like 3 episodes in, so I'm not as far in as these guys, but in these 3 episodes I have witnessed, this show is amazing to me. It's a weird blend of like a slice of life slash action. This pretty much has anything that you're a fan of in anime. I feel like it kind of has this in it. Outside of like the big kaiju fights and shit like that. But yeah, it's dope. What are your guys' initial thoughts on this? And we'll start with Ethan this time. I feel like we always start with Otis.
Oh, well, thank you. So I actually had like Otis's girlfriend. I had read the manga first, not all of it, but I read a bunch of the manga, and I was really into it. So the manga, it's actually pretty cool. And because I think it was originally, this was when they were doing, it wasn't part of the initial like Jump printed book. It was like the digital version that I read. I think that's what there was, like a whole line of digital Jump magazines are making and whatnot. And it was easy to read, and it was really fun. It was a bizarrely fun book, and I love spy, that whole spy genre, like James Bond and whatnot, or spy versus spy. And with this in particular, they had it where it was very fun as far as watching like the family element involved with it. So I actually just enjoyed seeing that the aspect of a cute little girl with telepathy and the tropes of other spy genres kind of mixed in there. So yeah, I really enjoyed it.
But you, Otis?
Yeah. So initially, like I had seen the art for the manga for this a while ago, and I just thought it was like, well, it has the word family in it, so my brain automatically turned off to it like instantly. Because usually, I mean, slice of life anime isn't really my cup of tea. Like there are a few of them that stand out to me that I can enjoy, but most of them just kind of like go brain numb too. So I was reluctant to start it, but after watching the first episode, I was immediately hooked onto it. I mean, it's a well crafted show. Like it has the action and the espionage for men. It has the slice of life moments and the chibi moments for women. You know, it's got you're following child characters, so it's got something for children. You know, it's really a show that is built for pretty much all audiences, and I think they're doing a good job in crafting it.
Real quick, I want to ask you, Ethan, are you into slice of life animes at all? Since Otis gave his thoughts on them.
Yeah, I don't really like seek out slice of life animes, but I'm not opposed to them if it's a good story. If there's obviously like I guess, would you consider a slice of life anime like a what's it called? Not Remember Your Name, but is this Your Name, that movie that was called, Otis?
Your name.
I have no idea.
Yeah, okay.
I don't recognize the name at all.
Yeah.
Or like My Neighbor Totoro, or
yeah. That's for sure. Slice of life. My neighbor Totoro. It's got some action adventure elements in it, but I feel like that's more of a slice of life.
But do you enjoy those? Do y'all enjoy those ones?
Not really.
I can. Okay. I know, this is kind of me being weird and growing up with grandparents. I grew up watching a lot of soap operas with my grandma, and with our neighbor across the street, I watched a lot of telenovelas with her. So I have like a kind of appreciation and a love for them in a sense, because to me that's like the purest form of character writing. Because when your whole show is based around the personality and how characters interact and not just off of a violent act, to me that's like the purest form you can get of character development, because it's purely based on the characters and how they interact. Granted, a lot of soap operas like As the World Turns or The Brave and the Bold and shit like that have run for way too long. But the stuff with that kind of thematic writing and pacing and stuff like that, I tend to enjoy a little bit if it's done well.
The Brave and the Bold is a soap opera. I thought that was a line of
Young and the Restless, and then the
is it Brave and the Bold or the Bold and the Beautiful?
Bold and the Beautiful. Yeah, Brave and Bold is definitely
Beautiful. I could have sworn that was Batman.
Yeah, the Dietrich Bader Batman. But so the thing is though, I think so. What I've seen, the actual writer of the not manga, because it's not Japanese, but
it is Japanese.
No, not for Spy Family, but I mean for the for To Your Eternity. they qualify that on some level as slice of life, even though it has supernatural elements. Even that right, that's what the writer said herself. She said because even though it has supernatural elements, it focuses on actually his day-to-day life with these people and actually interacting with them as far as actually like having actual life.
I would classify that more as a drama or a psychological drama than a slice of life.
Yes,
I can see it to a degree.
It's a lot. It's so many genres mixed in there, but I guess the thing is like Dev said too is like what as long as the story they're telling is compelling, I'm on board for it, whether it be regardless of the genre.
Yeah, the relationships have to be some form, like be dynamic to some extent. Like you can't just be the stereotype. Granted, I feel like they need to have some form of familiarity there, and people need to be able to identify with these stories. But I can't just be seeing something that I would see going down the street and seeing like peeking in the neighbor's house.
Right, or it can be boring. Yeah, right. I agree.
Stuff like that. Another big one, which is Jane the Virgin. I don't know if you ever watched that with I think Gina Rodriguez is the main character of that.
I'm familiar with it. Yeah.
I watched that entire series. It's basically like a modern telenovela where it's dope. It's
or an
dope.
American telenovela.
Yeah, pretty much. They kind of play into that whole telenovela vibe. It's like a like they make it like that, but they overly dramatize everything and like put it in the style of a telenovela. Yeah, it's dope. I fuck with it. So
real quick, not to get into spoilers, but so she gets pregnant. Is she actually a virgin? How does that happen?
So essentially, the whole concept of the show is essentially that she was accidentally artificially inseminated. So she's a virgin that was pregnant. Yeah. And they go through the whole drama of that and the baby daddy drama and all kinds of people die. People die and come back to life, and then people get murdered. It's crazy. I ain't gonna lie to you.
That is not just slice of life at all. That is.
It's some wild shit. I fuck with it heavy. I love that.
But is there?
Telenovelas to me or like the equivalent of like niggas that only watch sub anime for whatever reason. I love telenovelas and I don't understand a single word. I can't even tell you the name of one, but I will sit down with like my Spanish friends or like my neighbor that grew up across the street from she didn't grow up across the street. I grew up across the street from her, and she is Colombian, and she would have them on all the time, and she's like cooking for her kids and stuff, and I sit there and watch kids and watch the novellas with her, and it was just crazy. Somebody always dies and come back. I don't know. They always die in the worst ways.
Well, that's soap operas in general, which is why Or they have an evil twin, or there's a coma, or like amnesia. Amnesia is very prevalent in soap operas and telenovelas, both of those. But it is. I do want to. Not now. I don't be running out of time. Yeah, we have to circle back to how you get accidentally. It's like someone trips with a syringe. Oops.
Basically,
this is permanent shit.
Basically, the doctor is doing it as like an alcoholic, and she's just incompetent.
Oh my god!
Intimidates the wrong person versus. It's a whole thing, but
that is a whole thing. Yeah. Back if
you guys want us to talk about that and whatever, just let us know. I'll make a video myself on it because it was cool.
I'll watch it. I'll watch it twice.
Yeah. Getting into Spy Family again, I love the characters a lot. The biggest thing that I love about this show and the dynamic between the three main characters is the little girl. I can't remember. You guys remember her name off the top of your head?
Anya.
Yeah. I love how she's not the smartest one out of the pack, but to me, she's like the best manipulator because she knows what these adults want and like hears their inner thoughts, and she's able to like maneuver things around to fit what she wants. And obviously, she wants a family and like cool parents, so she's able to manipulate that around. And it's cool to see a kid that young with that kind of level of, I guess, next level thinking, that young and kind of doing that. I enjoy that.
Even more so than that, she's almost like a near omniscient narrator for the series as well, because that's how we get the inside thoughts of the father and the mother. So like she is really the conduit to how the story progresses, and I really like how they incorporate her growth into the progression of the respective missions of the mother and father.
Right.
Yes, I agree. What up, Craig? Real quick. Yeah.
What up, Craig?
I completely agree with both of y'all. I love Anya. She's adorable. She just said same as in the manga. She's very cute. And like you said too, Otis, the idea that she's through her, we're able to kind of hear the thoughts of what the characters hear, kind of hear the narration, what they're feeling or thinking. But she's in a weird way. She's kind of the glue that holds them together. They wouldn't have come together if it wasn't for her, like you said, Dev, manipulating them to actually, kind of reveal what they actually want to do or want to have happen. Essentially, there've been times where she would say, like, bluntly, like, "Oh my gosh, I need a mom" or something like that, right in front of yours. So she's like, "Okay, I can jump over here and do these things." So if she wasn't as clever as she is, I do think she's actually definitely very smart. She's only like
Mhm.
5 years or 4 or 5 years old. I can't remember that age,
Mhm.
but she's able to be to hide the fact that she is a telepath, and then
Right.
2 for her to be able to use in real time the skills that the information she has directly into like her advantage that fast. You had to be
Right.
very smart to do that.
Low key, I wouldn't mind seeing like when this show's over, like a spinoff of just her as an adult later on.
Yeah.
You know how OD she's gonna be, where if she has any kind of training from like her mom and her dad, or
Right.
both those mom and dads, and she's a telepath. I'm like, bro, you're gonna
Right.
be the greatest spy ever in existence.
Yeah. You know what she reminds me of? It's a weird connection, but stay with me if you can. Y'all have seen Jackie Chan Adventures, right? That cartoon.
Yep.
It's like a grown Jade. There's a part that shows Jade in the future. She's like grown, like a super spy. It's like, yeah, because she trained with Jackie Chan and the ones for so long. She's like, yeah.
You more gray white? No.
yeah.
I love that show. Uncle. But yeah, another character, obviously one of the 3 that I probably like my second favorite is the woman, the mom. I can't remember her.
Your Y-O-R.
I have I appreciate femme fatale characters. I feel like in a lot of media now, women are either overly sexualized or they're like coveted like they're nuns where they can't show any kind of sexuality. So with characters like that, in which they can use their sexuality to their own benefit to get what they got to get done in a respectful, I feel like tasteful way, I appreciate that. I love seeing that, like that shit that's like switch hit, like when she got the phone call for the hit for that first day when they introduce her. And, for people that don't know, there are going to be probably big spoilers throughout this for people that haven't seen the first couple episodes or seen the show in general.
This first 3, because you only seen the first 3.
Yeah, I've only seen the first 3, so for me it's maximum first 3.
Yeah,
but yeah, like she got the call and was put on assignment, and you saw with a lot of anime where her eyes just kind of turned and got really like demonic in a sense, and she just flipped. And I love seeing that. I love seeing that evil personality change or just like serious tone shift in a character. It's real for me, like Kobe-esque, like some Kobe Bryant shit, where like you just turn into a killer mentality turns on out of nowhere, and you just see her just wild out and do some wild shit. And I love seeing that in that character, and I can't wait to see what that character has to offer going forward.
She definitely has that switch. But what's fun about her is because over the years has become much more of a common trope or cliche where female characters become like they only have one gear and it's just badass. They're always badass. They don't have, as opposed to being the victims or the damsels in distress. Now they're only badass. They're always super tough and they have no other dimension to them at all. But she actually does have. She has like, I mean, you see as you get further into the show, she has flaws herself. She'll get drunk and kind of show a different side to herself. She gets worried about certain things. She has anxiety, but she is very tough. She has a switch where she actually can go into super hyper, badass spy mode, but she's got multiple layers to her. She's not just a trope. So
she's like a multi-dimensional character.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
A multifaceted character. She's not just one thing.
Exactly. Right. Do you have any thoughts on her, Otis?
I think she's really well done character. I mean, you just see like her. They do a good job highlighting her flaws and her strengths as she progresses as a person and like how she wants to improve as a wife. And like, I mean, they just give her really good moments to really define how she is and how she's viewed with her family and with her new family.
Yeah, she's not just like Black Widow or from the MCU, especially after the MCU. She actually is like very much. She has vulnerabilities. She actually does care about trying to. In a recent episode, they were all about her trying to. She was doing everything she could to try to be a good wife and a good mother to both of them. And she second guesses herself when she feels she's not staying up to. It's not up to snuff with those areas. So.
Right. Yeah, I love seeing, like you said in that first episode when she was introduced, and I saw showing like you guys said, she showed her insecurities. She showed like how the things that regular people go through, but she just happens to be this master assassin that doesn't have to ignore her emotions like a Black Widow early in the MCU. Like she's again, like you guys said, like she's a well-rounded, multifaceted character, and I really like that about her.
And one thing that's interesting too about her. Sorry, cut you off.
No, you're good. I'm done. That was it.
The one that's interesting too is how she's, I think, is it 26 or 27, the exact age that she
26, is? I believe
it's 26, right? But the society has pretty much damned her, saying that she's too old to be single. And so from the jump, we are endeared to the character because it seems like everyone is against her for being older and single, and she's like kind of like put upon as far as almost seemed like a failure and whatnot. and it's an interesting angle as opposed to her being like when we were introduced to Natasha Romanoff in the MCU. She's seen as a beautiful woman, and everybody's fawning after her. Within this show, though, she's with yours, she's seen as like almost like a failure. So it's a different kind of dimension to come at the character with.
Yeah, with her in particular, that's the interesting thing. With I guess Japan is one of those countries where getting married at a young age is one of those things that is the norm in that country.
It's expected.
As it was in America for a while, like a long time ago.
Yeah.
Which I won't get
in certain obviously certain parts.
Which I won't get into the social aspects and whether it's right or wrong or my beliefs in it in particular. But I did like seeing just how her interactions with again her coworkers that were like trying to mess with her about being the weird one and and it just felt like it felt very relatable. Everybody's had those bully coworkers that they've worked with that want to make them feel like that they're better than you because they're in this shitty job and they're jealous of you and how you look and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly.
But I enjoyed it.
Yeah, because she is by all standards, it seems that she's a beautiful woman. She's very capable as a spy. She can do all kinds of stuff, but she deals with having people judge her and think less of her because she's not married and whatnot. So
moving on to the main, well, I'm not gonna call him the main character. He was the first character introduced within the series. Guys, remind me on his name again because I do not remember his name.
They just call him Twilight, but he's also known as Lloyd Forger.
Lloyd Forger. He was a very dope character to me initially. Anytime I see characters that can like change faces, I guess on some Orochimaru type shit, where you saw him do that like masterfully, and he just like would blend like a character that can assume the personality of somebody else so convincingly. Like, so okay, for people that don't know, I guess I'll give the example in the first episode in which he is getting chased down. Well, I think it's the first or second, I can't remember off the top of my head, but he got found by that mob or the gang members or whatever else, and they kidnapped his daughter at that point, and he comes back and because they enter his room that he's in or his house that he's in, kidnaps his daughter and like attacks him, and then the writers or the show makes you think that he was knocked out and captured, and then when you enter the scene exchange or like he's presented to the boss, he portrays that person so well. Like, I don't understand how it's crazy to me because thinking about it in context, you have to not only master this person's voice, master the mannerisms, the way they operate, for somebody not to like think that it's weird that a person's acting weird and acting off, especially when you're a criminal like that. I have to imagine that you're even more on edge like that. So that was just cool as fuck to me that he was able to do that and like kind of bounce in and out.
No, I completely agree. Yeah, it's dope. It reminded me of the Mission Impossible movies, even the show too, where they wear the mask and they become someone different. I mean, his name is also they call him Lloyd Forger for a reason, but he's able to. That was his modus operandi. He's able to take on pretty much so many different personas or different personalities, whatever he needs to do for the job. Even with the main job in the show, he's portraying himself as a family man and a father, like a doctor or whatnot. And that's all forgery too. It's not real. It's not who he actually is. He's not wearing a mask, but he's still technically, is being someone that he's not. So it's you're right. That is a very, I couldn't do something like that. I'm not good enough an actor or a liar or whatnot to do that kind of thing. So yeah, it is a really cool angle to have.
All right. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, I was going to ask you.
He's the master spy. Like, whether it's formulating the plan or, setting up the bugs or mimicking someone to get out of a situation or fighting his way out. Like, he's capable of it all, and I think that's what that's the main draw for men to that show. Like, because he's a big supply of action and different skill sets there. I mean, between their cast, I just think they do a really good job providing things for everyone to be interested in. And Lloyd is the male draw, absolutely.
Yeah.
The main. Go ahead, Ethan.
No, I'm sorry. I'll say to piggyback off what Otis said as far as the way the kind of the aspect of the team drama or the team working within the spy genre is similar to something like Mission Impossible, where they each have their own role to do something like that. This is a team of spies that are unaware of the fact that they are a team of spies. So all the missions they're doing, they think they're doing them for different reasons, but they actually are still working together in some unison, unknowingly, not knowing how many talents they actually all have. I guess Anya kind of knows that the other two, through reading their minds, can do other stuff, but obviously Twilight and Yor have no idea how capable they actually are. So it's just fun to watch them do what would seem like mundane missions, like you'll see later on in Dev, where they go to try to get her into the school, which would be a simple interview, but it becomes like a heightened stake kind of a mission. So it's just kind of fun to see all those angles play out with these three characters.
The backup plan's the backup plan.
Right.
Right. The main thing that I really enjoy about him as a character is seeing that although he is this master spy and master of disguise, we see him start to slip up, and he says it himself when he starts to get some form of affection for his daughter early on, so much so that he's starting to slip and not like letting his guard down more than he would ever in his life. Again, with like somebody we just talked about with the skills that he has and how difficult it is to see that happen. I'm like, it sounds like he's a human being. So again, he's not just this death machine or spy machine. Like he's a well-rounded individual that has human emotions that are difficult to control and sometimes even notice that they're fluctuating. It was like a little thing for me, but it was a little thing in the grand scheme of the show, I feel like. But for me, it was something that stood out in particular about his character. It just goes to show that the writing is top notch, that you can write 3 different characters that are fully fleshed out and have emotions that are relatable as well, and they all interact with each other really cohesively and really, really, really well.
Yeah,
absolutely. Like Lloyd is just the ultimate straight man, also, because he just either sets up or ruin every joke possible. Like his conversational dynamic with the rest of the cast is always well done.
Yeah. No, I think he definitely is the ultimate straight man. Because usually what happens oftentimes is the young girl is like trying to, because she's reading so many minds, she's reacting to what she reads in the minds, but no one else knows that. So she's having freakouts, and then Lloyd is watching that, he's like, as he said, the straight man, like he's worrying about it, and then Yor is almost like in her own world, or she's either drunk or something. So their reactions to all these things is hilarious. And then also, like you said, Dev, it's funny because Twilight or Lloyd definitely does care about the little girl. I mean, he's the one that found her in the orphanage. And as you go further through the series, and especially in the manga and stuff, it becomes more prevalent that he's aware of the fact that eventually he'll have to leave her, have to separate from her too, and he doesn't want to do that. So it's the mission does cross over from being a fake family to be a real, so that Lloyd does care about too. And so does Yor also. She cares about both of them as well.
Another previous scene that stands out to me that makes that point even more so concrete to me is the fact that like when you look at it earlier in the show in that first episode, he was like undercover as this girl's fiance for a while. So that means he had to form some form of relationship and romantic bond with this woman, or at least like have her form that bond with him. And he was with her in a romantic relationship for I don't know how long, maybe a couple months, maybe, or a couple weeks to make that, probably a couple months to at least to make the propose to her, to make her want to marry him.
Long enough for her to expect an engagement and want to be married to him.
Right. And he just cut that off cold. Like he was very cold to her. Like he just like, fuck them hoes, push these niggas on me like he just like let her go and got off of her altogether. And I was like, damn, he did her that dirty, but he was still like, his heart was really warm to this child. Yeah. So I thought that was an interesting thing to kind of notice there when they showed him, obviously on purpose to try to be really cold and calculated as a spy, but then this little girl just made him slip up and just forget everything that he like instilled in himself of habit.
Yeah, because he does that in the pilot episode. He actually he puts, like you say, he probably puts on the mask of the skies to go in there and infiltrate the base. He does it to save her, and he saves her not because it's part of the mission, because he just wants to save her, because he just doesn't want her to get hurt. So it's he's almost jeopardizing the mission by saving her at the end. So he from the jump he cares about her. He does care actually about the little girl.
Which I love it. I appreciate it. The show to me is great. I can't wait to watch a lot more of the show. I'm going to be binging a lot more really soon, and we'll probably do an overall review on it and give our overall rating and stuff on the show itself whenever it finishes, or whenever the season's over with, relatively soon.
Yeah.
Moving on, I want to get into I guess the big honcho of the show, Miss Marvel.
That's the big honcho.
Yeah, I mean it's the biggest, the biggest budget, the biggest pockets, and the most attention on it.
Yeah, it dropped this week. Yeah,
most eyes on it. Maybe you can argue between that and Obi-Wan, but it's probably this one. Miss Marvel.
I'm gonna take Spy Family just because it is just anointed as the 9th highest grossing anime of all time already, and it's only.
But it is.
Yes.
Jesus.
I want to compare those numbers to like MCU stuff to see. with the MCU being as
Oh,
globally big as it is.
oh yeah, I
Just
mean,
this
don't get me
being
wrong.
like,
The popularity for Marvel stuff is significantly higher than. I'm just talking about like with it being both quality and popular. I put that as a bigger honcho personally.
Yeah.
well, if
There's
there's like
only
quality,
10
yes, but I'm as far in regards to like the amount of money that's being put into it, the amount of time and people that are working on it. Plus, with her being the first Muslim, Middle Eastern superhero, there's a lot of people on the side of the world that may not have watched it before. They're going to be watching it now to see how they present her.
Yeah.
To me, that was why I did all that. I think it's going to be critically looked at all over the world a lot more than probably most other stuff.
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely be under a bigger microscope. Does that make sense? A bigger microscope, but it's going to be under more scrutiny than other shows. And it's going to have more eyes on, like you said, than other shows. It's kind of similar to an anthem for like with Black Panther, how that
Right.
was a big movement for lots of people too. So yeah, I agree with you, Div. It is a momentous occasion, so to
Right.
speak.
To get into it, initially for me, my initial thoughts, it's okay. I'm gonna be honest. I kind of this word may trigger a lot of people, but it's kind of mid to me. I didn't hate it, but I didn't like it over amount. I thought a lot of things that they did cinematically was cool. One thing that stuck out to me I thought was really neat was there's like a text message exchange, but the messages took place with different things in the environment. That I thought was like, okay, that's pretty well shot.
Yeah,
A lot of that
yeah.
was practical. I know.
Yeah.
Also, her they do this thing now, which they're letting you get more insight into the world. They're kind of world building a lot more at the MCU. In regards to showing that Ant-Man has a podcast in which he's had other superheroes on, and a lot of the world knows what happened during the Infinity War and Endgame situation, and like who died, why they died, things of that nature. So it's dope. Those are like the really bright spots. I think Kamala Khan as a character is cool. Honestly, I think I may enjoy her a little bit better in the game. I feel like maybe she was better written in the game, but again, we got to see a full arc in the game, so I can't really say that 100% yet to be sure. Yeah, it was just really slow pace for me, and there's a lot of things that they tried to set up, but I don't think they set up well enough to cause a lot of excitement for me personally. What were your guys' initial thoughts on the show?
It felt like a decom, a Disney Channel original movie, but in the Marvel universe. It was very teeny bopper. It was there felt like there were no significant stakes until I guess the powers were to finally show up. Now, I'm going to give it more of a chance because this is the first episode, but it was very childish. And if they are trying to appeal to the same market of people, they're gonna have to try to change a few things, in my opinion.
So I think you hit the nail on the head as far as the demographic. Who are they trying to appeal to? You said teeny bopper or a kind of the Disney, not Mickey Mouse Club, but the kind of different.
Might as well be
the younger demographic. I think that's the point. They're not trying to appeal to the same folks that enjoyed, say,
Moon Knight or something
Moon
like
Knight
that.
or even like
Captain America, Winter Soldier.
You can't remember that first episode of Captain America, Winter Soldier, the death count in that one episode, or when later on when he used a shield to cut somebody open. Like, I mean, this isn't the same demographic by any means. And even the comic book for Kamala Khan for Ms. Marvel is meant for a younger, oftentimes female audience. So in that regard, I'm like, yeah, they pretty much are hitting the nail on the head. And one thing that you mentioned earlier, Dev, is that this is trying to give a champion for the Muslim community, especially for young girls. And my brother, who is a Pakistani, as y'all know, he's Pakistani. He watched it with his wife and his young 3-year-old son, and they loved it as a family. So as a family show, it did what it's trying to do. And for Muslims and Pakistanis, because she's Pakistani also, it worked for them. They actually enjoyed it. So if they're trying to hit those beats, they were successful. As far as a show like for us, around our demographic, what we're going for, it's not really for us, and that's okay.
Right. Which is fine if it's meant for a younger audience. And I figured they'd be a little bit more conservative with this show in particular because of the culture that they'd be representing and showcasing. Which is fine with me. If people of that culture and Pakistani culture and Muslim culture enjoy that and you think it was done tastefully, all right, I can't say you're wrong. That's your culture. We were able to judge Black Panther when that came out to our culture. Which again, that's probably what that is, just a matter of it being very conservative. Another bright spot I did forget that they're doing with this show that I think they're doing universally pretty well at tying in all the different shows into each other. spoiler alert, there's a moment in time where she first activates the bang is it banglet or bangle? I can't remember the name of the actual
Bangle.
item.
I think it's a bangle. I think it's bangle.
You see her go into this almost something akin to the ancestral plane that the Black Panther goes into. And we know from Moon Knight that different cultures and different people have their own version of that. Like the afterlife is the same, but they're different versions of it.
Right.
And we also know that her grandmother had some kind of ability, or maybe her mom may have, due to the fact that her mother talked about the dreamers and all kinds of that stuff being something that's hereditary within the family.
Yeah.
So they're doing a good job at tying different things together. So I am excited to see what that ancestral plane was and how that connects to her powers, and what her powers even are. So they're doing something.
Yeah,
right
because they showed them briefly, which it looked a little different as far as almost like Green Lantern mixed with her old powers from the comics.
Yeah. Because she's making like heart-like constructs.
That she's doing. She's stretching things out. So I'm curious to see how that actually plays out, or what happens to her. Obviously, it's origin story for this character and this take of her. But I know you mentioned earlier that you weren't as big a fan of this iteration of her as you were from the video game. Right. I actually like this version of her a little bit more. She seems more like an actual interesting person, or like a more relatable person. The way Kamala Khan was in the game, she almost seemed like that she was a game character.
Yeah, she was just chipper, unnecessarily. Right. Her motivations weren't necessarily like thorough or well thought out. She was just there for the sake of plot.
Right. She was there for the sake of plot. This feels like a real 15, 16-year-old teenager person. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I definitely, I mean, I know it's definitely not for us necessarily, but I still enjoy for what it was. And I did enjoy, like you mentioned, Dev, some of the fun ways they had, like playing the emojis and stuff in the text, or having where the spray paint on the walls and the background. It felt almost like
that's an effect that they've done in so many different things already, though. Like you see that in like Wreck-It Ralph, you see that in certain scenes in Monsters Inc. It's not a new thing to Disney. Which is why it kind of, I wouldn't say it bored me, but I was like, I've seen you do this before, Disney. Like, this isn't a new effect.
Yes.
Nothing about this series is new besides them just completely, like, altering the backstory of a character that has already existed in Kamala Khan. Yeah. I mean, like,
they're being safe with her. They're being safe with her.
Yeah.
I mean, being safe has nothing to do with completely altering the inhuman facet of her power like that. Like that was a choice that they made deliberately, and I kind of need to know why. Like, what was the purpose?
Yeah. Probably difficulties with writing all the Inhumans together now. Introducing them and making because now if you make her an Inhuman, now you have to come up with the Terrigen Mist and how that was distributed and how that even was made. And granted, it's not impossible; they can do it, but
I thought they were
very difficult versus just giving her something like a quantum band or just an item that made her stronger.
Yeah, it's much simpler.
Yeah, it felt like a cop out because, honestly, if they're not going in that direction, I don't have any personal care into how this story develops. I was thinking okay, this is Terrigen Mist, and you're seeing all these new powered people have to find a way to stabilize themselves in this new world. Now it's not even that. So it's what am I watching this for?
I'm watching it for her. For me, once I saw what they were kind of doing, I know, all right, cool. We may not get too much development in the world that I want to see. At this point, I'm watching to see, are they going to develop her as a well-rounded character? Is she going to get the care and treatment that she should, being the kind of character she is, and how we haven't really gotten a lot of her.
That's same here. That's my biggest motivation. I know it is a different story, but I still want to see how she's developed. This iteration of her is developed. Right. But then also, even in the MCU, so many characters, their origins and stuff, the story aren't the same as the comic books, anyways. So nothing to that.
Yeah, it's true, but I don't know if anyone's been altered to that degree where essentially,
no, not to that degree.
Their whole species has changed, right?
Yeah,
and then the timing of it also is kind of weird to me too, because they've already shown that equivalent of Black Bolt already existed in the MCU.
I feel like
what's the purpose of that Easter egg there if you're not going to feed into it when the character that is supposed to be of that same ilk is introduced?
But the thing is, when they had the Black Bolt, that was obviously in a different universe,
right?
Yeah. So I'm not sure if they're saying that's the same one, because also even the Inhumans, the show, the Inhumans, I don't know that was meant to be, because that was TV universe compared to or ABC TV universe. So I don't know.
they need to get as far away from that as possible because that was a dumpster fire. So I
so that may be
understand
what
like
they're
them trying to avoid that in that way, but
Right.
like you could have had it so like she just walked into a room and got hit with a Terrigen crystal. Like there's so many ways that you could have done that, but they decided to go this way. So whatever this way that they choose, it better be good.
Really quickly to answer Craig's earlier question about are any of the MC cast nerds. I know for a fact that the main character, Kamala Khan, she actually she has like a journal that I've seen. Like I've seen her interview with her. She has a journal, like all her theories on the MCU stuff. And then like she watches like stuff like New Rockstars. I know they talked about it on their channel about how like she's a fan.
Nice.
Yeah, she's an actual like Marvel MCU fan.
YouTube nerd too. Yeah.
I think the directors that directed those first 2 episodes are actual like big fans. Apparently, it's funny to me, but they talked about how like Feige only gives directors and people that work in these movies enough to know how that character's arc's going to go. He does not give them details on like the overarching plan of the MCU, which is I thought that was funny.
Yes. And
to hit your point earlier in regards to people being changed that much, I don't know if you guys have heard, but they're significantly changing Namor's origin. Like
when is he showing up? When is Namor
in Black Panther? He's going to be in Black Panther.
Oh, that's right, because they were doing a whole Atlantis type of.
Yeah, so Atlantis is not going to be like this ancient mystical city. It's going to be like a city, but it's not going to be that old. And Namor is not going to be a mutant, from what I'm gathering. So
but they do have the rights to mutants now.
Yeah, right? They do, but they're not making that character that. I think because it's so difficult because now you have to be right like why weren't mutants doing anything this whole time, or why weren't did this just now happen? Like there's so many.
It's a lot of
plot holes that would open up if you introduce things like that way. That it can be done written, but I think it's a lot harder and it gives them a bigger chance to flop and give us a bigger They're being very safe with this stuff now and trying to introduce it like piece by piece by piece.
You're trying to make such a mess with retconning and everything else. I feel you. I dig that.
Because they already had a mess to fix with Eternals, and they didn't do that well.
Exactly.
So. No, I think that was the biggest problem, is they were handcuffed trying to do that, trying to cover so much ground with that movie, and it really didn't work.
Which I think that's what they're doing with all the recent projects coming out, is that they're closing up plot lines and trying to stop and close up as many plot holes as possible. Which you'll see like that with the conclusion of like, I'm pretty sure there's gonna be like Thor's wrap up movie pretty much, and we've already seen Black Widow's story get wrapped up. And Cap been wrapped up in different shows. Like they're trying to slowly like close ties with all the older stuff so they can start fresh with all these new characters and kind of start strong. Yeah, I think it's dropping all like the Fantastic Four mutants and right off the gate, like a lot of people will want. Like I probably want as a biased fan. It would just make it difficult to introduce all that alongside introducing all these characters that are already C-list characters in the eyes for a lot of people, like Moon Knight. Introducing Moon Knight while also simultaneously jumping around and trying to make mutants make sense, and then they still got to do the scroll invasion, all the shit they have set up. I'm just like,
that's the biggest thing. Yeah,
I'm just
also like Kang the Conqueror, and
it'll be to me. I think it'll be a whole other phase.
Feel like it's not that difficult. Like they've already had multiple multiversal events. Figure it out. Do it. It's your job.
But a lot of those multiversal events ended up with them not being able to visit those events anymore. Like those other universes are done. Like they came back to just this one universe, this one thing, these one set of characters. You can see the other stuff, but they're not relevant because we can't go there.
But like, that is a choice that they made to have it go like that. They made the choice to do that. It's not something that we have to do this because it won't make sense. That was a choice that they chose to do. That was their thing.
They set it up. It's significantly harder is my point, though.
But yes, it is hard.
You have billions. Do the hard shit.
Well, no, I think what it is, they already had a roadmap in mind. So it's not that they're not starting from zero trying to figure out how to do this. They had some things in mind of how to do this from the start in a way.
Because I guarantee you on that roadmap, they probably had a time where like, well, maybe if we get X-Men by this time, we can try to put them in here. All right, cool. We got the problem. We didn't get them at that point. Now we got to try to recircle around and get them in here where it makes sense for us and their roadmap that they have.
Yeah,
it's not even a money thing. It's just a matter of will the writing make sense.
Yeah,
you can get a million thousand writers, but will it make sense?
Right, and also it's something that Otis should know himself. There's such a thing as easy when it comes to writing. Just because they have billions of dollars doesn't mean it's easy to do it. We've seen more than enough examples of money not fixing writing and not fixing stories or not fixing movies or whatnot. So it's still going to be hard to do. And so it's something that Craig asked here. He said, I guess he means I didn't think these characters were random. I thought they were all intentional, which I agree. I think they all are intentional. From the track record that Marvel has, no one has been a random that's kind of thrown in. They all have served some purpose, it seems, so far.
Yeah, I don't think we said anything about anything being random. I'm
I'm
saying
not
it was
sure if we
intentional.
did.
Yeah, if you could elaborate a little bit further, Craig, so we know a little bit more.
Yeah, which
for
characters
sure.
we're talking about? Random.
Last thing on that point in particular with those characters, like especially with characters the X-Men or like the Fantastic Four, where they're probably like the cream of the crop of Marvel IPs for ever and ever. Amen. They're gonna take their time to make sure they drop them in perfectly and like the exact way that they want to do it and not rush and shit because they cannot fuck up this drop because we've seen these characters, which again the first family of Marvel and the X-Men being like the biggest team and biggest
Yeah.
character team
And,
base.
and, and
Oh my
that I
God.
understand thoroughly. But what they are also doing in the process is intentionally throwing fake breadcrumbs, like the thing with the Black Widow, not Black Widow, Scarlet Witch series where they threw in the other Quicksilver, or
Yeah, that was a
with
intentional
Multiverse of
false
Madness when they
breadcrumb.
put in Patrick Stewart. Like they're doing these things intentionally to let you know that they're coming.
Yeah,
But like they're essentially setting up ways for them to not happen when they could happen. Like
Well,
it's
they're
a
basically
choice that they're doing that.
yeah, they're having the kicking in it too. Oh, so there's like hey, we have the X-Men, we have Professor Xavier, we have the actual '90s cartoon Professor Xavier right here, but he's in another universe, so therefore he can die, literally die in this movie, and it's okay. So all right, so we have Evan Peters, the actual Quicksilver from the 20th Century Fox X-Men universe here, but it's actually some weird random actor that that doesn't actually have any bearing at whatsoever in the real show.
Right.
So they're finding little ways to do that without actually having to suffer the consequences, as it seems. And to go to your point, though, Dev, because we had three previous Fantastic Four movies, and they were all pretty bad. They know they have to kind of like if they're going to reintroduce those characters actually as their own unit, they've got to do it the right way. They can't just they've kind of lost the goodwill with those characters in some sense.
And the thing is, it's not just those characters too. Like along with those characters comes a plethora of other characters that are like galactic level, like with Galactus, the Silver Surfer, Mole Man, Molecule Man, Owen Reese, and shit like characters that are attached to these characters in this group. Like it's not just them; all these other people are going to come with them now, and you have to do that right. Which I think it'll probably be another phase before we see them. I think that's looking at the roadmap because their roadmap is like it goes into like 2025 at this point with all the different titles and shit they got planned.
Yeah.
So I don't know when they're coming, but it'll probably be a while before we see them in a whole other phase.
Do you think? I know we're getting a little off topic here, but do you think they will introduce, let's say, for example, the X-Men, that they will just bring them in someone else's movie or what's that new Quantumania, right? That's the
biggest
Ant-Man
theory that I've seen.
Right. Yeah. Do you think they'll do that? They'll introduce the X-Men or mutants in someone else's movie?
Possibly
little or something.
Because I think the way that works is that quantum realm is like a different dimension, almost like akin to like how George Lucas wanted the metachlorians to be a thing where people within this dimension are like actual sentient beings. So there's a whole like bunch of people in there possibly at a different size or some shit like that, or a different world.
Interesting.
Which I don't know. We'll see. I'm excited to see again. Jonathan motherfucking Majors is coming back for that, so I can't wait to see him in that again.
Yeah, that'd be dope. That'd be fun. That'd be
right.
fun to watch.
And you also get Paul Rudd again, like that's a.
I like him.
I know you hate Paul Rudd.
I like him. It is
I
what it
know
is.
you hate your Paul Rudd. But that was a good segue, Dev. As far as you said, midichlorians and Star Wars. That's a pretty good segue to the next.
Yeah. Into the next thing, yes, sir. You know how I do. I'm getting better at this. It's been a while.
Flowers.
We know it was. It's okay.
Yeah, literally was not. But getting into Obi-Wan Kenobi in this show, me and Ethan talked about it briefly. That was the last week or the week? Yeah, it was last week.
I think it's week before. I think it's week before last. I can't remember, but
yeah, but we got into it. We obviously had our thoughts on it. It kind of akin to Miss Marvel. I feel like it is a setup show because they're introducing a lot of characters that they're focusing on and a lot of concepts that they're kind of spending time on, and it feels like they're just using this show to introduce concepts for other shows down the line because there are cool things that happen in the show, and the show's obviously really beautiful and really well shot, but there's just maybe just the pacing for me, possibly, I don't know, but it's just something about it just seems off, and I just don't love it to the extent I feel like I should. As like y'all know how big of a Star Wars fan I am, I feel like I should love this show a lot more than what I do.
That's interesting because I thought when we first talked after the first 2 episodes, you were in love with the show. I thought you did.
I like the first one, but again, a lot of that because I rewatched those episodes a couple times. I thought a lot of that was just the nostalgia, the fact I got to see this character Obi-Wan for the first time in forever.
Yeah.
And then it was Owen McGregor, somebody else that I really loved as that character.
Yeah.
So it's like everything I wanted is all my nostalgia and shit kicked in, and watching it over again.
I see.
The first episode was cool, and we've talked about in the last like 2 weeks ago how we were kind of both slightly annoyed with Leia and
No, that you I was
liked her. You were.
yeah.
I said I feel like she did the most in certain extents, but I liked her overall in her acting. Again, to me, highlight of the show is still Reva. I still love Reva the most. I think her arc should be dope, and I want to see what they do with her going forward.
Obviously, the show is Reva. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like she's actually one of the better characters in this. Absolutely. The highlight of the show is Vader. Like the highlight of the show is fucking Vader. Like he's
not really the star at all. He's very much
his minutes are the only minutes of the show I actually care about.
Yeah, he's very
like,
small.
If it's not him, I really don't care about this show.
I'm just not getting attached because I don't think they're gonna do anything with him going forward. Well, they may, but everything they have set up going forward that I've heard is like past stuff and different shit that's not going to involve him anywhere near it.
Right. So but also speaking of that elephant in the room, all the marketing, you also saw the marketing. Hayden Christensen was with Ewan McGregor for a lot of these things.
Right.
I can't imagine. I mean, I don't, except for that one very brief blink, and you will literally miss it. Vision Quest cameo that he has. Are we seeing him at all in this show? If like, oh, he's in the suit, he's actually Darth Vader. It's like, no, he's not. That's not him, Christensen, that suit.
That's definitely not him in the suit.
So what's how are they going to put him in? I don't think he's going to be in
James
the show.
Earl Jones coming back. Initially, when they announced him, I'm like, oh, James Earl Jones he's not coming back. So they're just going to have him do that and da. And then initially I was like, oh, they just have him without his helmet for a lot. I guess it'll be kind of weird. I don't know, but
no,
I don't. But I don't know, man. I'm trying not to get attached to him because I was after he popped up and had that wild ass scene at the end of
3.
Not Rebels. Oh my god, what was the name of that movie?
Oh,
Rogue One.
Oh,
Rogue One. I just knew in my heart, oh, they about to bring Vader back with a passion now. He had that fire ass scene. Years go by, and this is the first time we've seen him do anything live action on screen since then. So I'm not getting attached to him.
No, and that's fair, but that was a massive reshoot. That wasn't even supposed to be in the movie originally. And then, like, pretty much like right before the movie came out, they're like, how about we do this one last little scene? They're like, okay, let's do that. So they kind of didn't even plan for it to be in the movie in Rogue One. Right. The best part of that movie, the best part, in my opinion, out of all these sequel stuff, was that 3-minute scene, which was basically a last-minute reshoot. So
I've talked about it before. I love seeing these old original trilogy characters, and now that we have the technology to do so, we can show like the full scale of their power. Like on screen now, like Palpatine, we got to see just how fucking busted Palpatine was. Granted, the movie wasn't very good, but whenever he was doing Force lightning shit and doing his evil shit, it was dope. Like
that one was dope, but he shoots his lightning in the sky.
I can't watch that third movie.
It's dope. You
don't watch the movie. Don't watch the movie.
Just find that one scene. You'll be like,
one scene. Yeah.
Literally, like even then, he was still slightly toned down. Like we talked about it with the MCU stuff and Marvel characters being toned down. He's still slightly toned down in that movie from what he can be. Because in the comics, he's blowing up planets with 4 storm clouds and shit. He's basically his own Death Star.
Yeah, he literally is that powerful. But I think that's common. That's what they do. Like, with live action, they always scale them down. They always scale them down live action.
Which is fine because he can't be blowing up planets.
It's hard to show that and make it look good on screen.
All right.
Which make it look actually Because I mean, like Storm, for example, in the X-Men, if they let her be what she actually is, she's like, decent enough to take down Thor. So it's like they can't. How do you showcase that properly in a movie and have her be so OP that she just blows everything away? So
but what was I going with that? Reva, I'm giving so much attention to Reva just because I know with them introducing her, they're probably going to have her in a lot of other stuff going forward because they can have her. They don't really have a timeline on when she dies unless they kill her off the end of the series. But she'll probably be in Obi-Wan going forward, not Obi-Wan, but The Mandalorian at some point. She'll probably be in the Ahsoka show. Like she'll be in other shows appearing going throughout.
How would that work in Mando? Because like this is like
it's only 30 years later.
So she'd be like an old lady, wouldn't she?
Or she'd be. It wouldn't be the same actor.
She's like the same actor. 18, 19. They can put her in makeup. Old people makeup. That's not that hard.
Yeah, but maybe they could have the same character, but maybe have a different actor or something. But is she in extended lore? Is she in the comic books or anything?
Oh, she's to my knowledge, she's an original character to my knowledge.
Okay.
Which is why I'm so like interested to see what they do with her. I'm excited. I like so far like what they're doing with her. I'm ready to see what kind of arc they take. Is she gonna be full Sith? Is she gonna kind of turn back into a great Jedi? I'm ready to see more of her in particular. Because again, I
want her to have better scripts and more to work with. Because I realized it's not. I was upset with her at the beginning in the first episode, but I realized no, they're just not giving her the right stuff to work with. Yeah,
she has moments. Like she has her moments.
She does have moments.
I'm just like
she has to force them. Yeah, it's not the actor; it's the material she has to work with. There was a part in the 4th episode where she's kind of interrogating a little girl, and it shows like she has different sides. The actual actor can do different ranges. Like, okay, it's the material she has.
I love her interactions with the 3rd brother, I believe, in which like he's obviously jealous and envious as hell, and she's kind of just being smart alecky and kind of giving him these one shots back, like, oh, you want to fuck with me? Vader told me to do this shit, so if you want to smoke, you gotta smoke with Vader, not me.
The guy looks like a Juan, like a green.
I think that's the same actor. I think that's
is it him?
Juan. Okay. I think so.
Yeah.
If I'm right, it's either him or I think it's the dude that played Strong Wong in Otis's words. From
Inferno.
Yeah, but I'm excited to see what they do with her. In general, with Star Wars, like I wasn't even super hyped for Obi-Wan. I was like, I told y'all in the trailer review we did for it, because we kind of know where his story goes.
Yeah,
but it seems like they're going to break canon to some extent. Because if Obi-Wan meets Vader again, that's canon. I think they've only fought or met twice since the Mustafar fight in the comics and in the stories and stuff that are canonically around.
That'd be weird if they had them. If there are 2 interactions that are this close together and they don't meet again for another 30 years roughly. I guess
right. He don't want no smoke. He would get fucked up. Because Vader is exponentially stronger than that point, and Obi-Wan's exponentially weaker from not using the Force for almost a decade.
Now here's the thing. Let me ask you this real quick, because y'all are smarter than I am. As we all know this. How old? They say Leia's 10 in this show, right?
9 or 10. Yeah.
Okay, and then later on in episode 4 or A New Hope, aren't they supposed to be like in their 20s or so, roughly?
A New Hope, they're supposed to be like 21, 22, like early 20s. Yeah.
Okay, so let's say let's go higher. Let's say this 12, maybe even 15 years from now. Okay, let's say the 25, 15 years from now. Mm-hmm. You're telling me that Ewan McGregor in 15 years will look like Alec Guinness? Hey, like, God damn, you've been aging hard, bro.
Best example, you saw what happened to Obama, right?
Yeah, but he's still he was that bad.
You saw what happened to Morgan Freeman, right? Morgan Freeman went from looking young to old as shit out of nowhere.
Morgan Freeman, that was like 4 years for happening.
Obama into Obama for like 8 years, and Obama went from smooth, like young looking dude to like look like he went through some shit in 8 years.
The hair went pure stalk silver, right. But
plus on top of that, he's on a desert planet for the entire 15 years.
Oh, yes, 25 total. Yeah, 25.
Yeah.
Total, yeah, no,
I mean it's a stretch, but I'm like I guess it kind of makes in some Star Wars movie magic.
Yeah, that white pasty skin gets beat up by that sun, boy.
That's when I can't imagine your skin's the best quality if you're getting heat, like solar radiation from 2 suns.
Oh yeah, 2 suns. Yeah, 2 suns. Yeah, one's enough for me. God damn. But we actually didn't hear what Otis thought of the show, because we actually I know, but we didn't hear officially on the show.
Yeah.
What Otis' take was. So Otis, I'm curious, what was your take on the show? Go ahead and let us know.
It's mid. Like it's okay.
Yeah,
like
it's mid.
There are really well crafted scenes. Like they you can tell that they put a lot of effort into their set design, their costume design, into the effects that they use to make the characters look how they're supposed to look. But I was more hopeful that they would give more insight into things that make Obi-Wan tick, like the true progression of how he gets from the essentially like the best Jedi Knight at the time from Order 66 to the decrepit man that you see in episode 4. And I mean, I guess we're getting right, like I guess we're getting like tidbits of it, but it's nothing that's really impacted me the way that I was really hoping for, except for seeing Vader, because
there's not a
Vader
lot.
Is been magnificent.
Outside of like him fighting Black Chrysanthemum, which is that Black Wookiee from Mandalorian, like he fights him and gives him that scar, and him killing Darth Maul, which we saw in Rebels, him fighting Vader for the second time. Besides that, it's all just like him protecting Luke from like Tusken Raider fights. Like there's not really a lot that happens there. All his development happens previous to like Mustafar, like that through the Clone Wars, to his Padawan ship, through being a personal bodyguard for Satele.
With them,
there's not a lot that happens after that.
With them having the liberties that they do, they can make it happen however they want. I mean, like the old canon isn't necessarily canon anymore. They can take liberties with the story because they've done it already. I was hoping they would take more to do something to make this interesting. Because
we'll fuck them up. Is that...
Can you stop cutting me off?
Go ahead.
6 episodes in, like they have not done anything to really push that narrative to
that made new
Make
canon
anything
shit.
compelling. Make anything compelling.
Make it compelling. Yeah.
I don't know if they're gonna break because Disney like made new, like after they acquired Star Wars, they dropped a whole new line of like the original trilogy comics with the new, like, this is the new canon going forward, and so up to this point they haven't broken that canon at all. And the only time they would possibly break that is with another Vader fight, which maybe they'll do, but I haven't seen them do that at all with anything before. They're staying
also,
like they're hardcore staying to their comics.
Right, and that's the thing too, is they kind of disavowed a lot of other extended universe stuff. So
all the books, all previous comics,
right, all the other Dark Horse comics. So it's a weird, kind of a Wild West out there now for Star Wars stuff. One thing I told Otis this before off mic, that my favorite scene so far in this series was in episode 3, where it's a very simple scene where it actually does get a little bit into Obi-Wan's background, where he's on the back of that truck talking to Leia, and she pretty much asks him about his family and whatnot. And it's for the first time I ever heard Obi-Wan openly talk about his family, as far as like what it was like before he became a Jedi, what his parents or brother were like. And I was like, and to see Ewan McGregor actually act that out, I was like, this actually is like some of the best acting in the show by far.
That's what I was hoping for more of.
That's
like, okay, give us pre episode 1 Kenobi. Like, give us some flashbacks.
Something that goes introspective as far as what this character, what Obi-Wan actually is like, as opposed to him just kind of blowing about in the sand. But that's my own personal take.
So that's just that's why I told you I was like, I'd rather just see a prequel buddy cop series with him and Qui-Gon going through doing shit.
That's man. I would pay for that. I actually would pay money for that.
If they're gonna break canon, then maybe I'm cool with that. But if they're not breaking canon, I'm like, nothing happens on Tatooine. Like, he doesn't do shit, and all the cool shit happens animated. So we don't like, he doesn't do shit. He's just there playing bodyguard.
Yo, Dev, seriously though, if they did I'm actually a wreck now. A buddy cop with Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, that'd be, man.
Then you're covering
I would watch that.
Mandalorian stuff with Satele. You're covering all the adventures he has with him up until the Phantom Menace.
Yes.
So I'm just like, just do that, and I'm cool. But I think to get around that, that's why they're focusing on up to where they're renaming it the High Republic now, not the Old Republic, the High Republic stuff. With Acolyte and all the other stuff, then they start going back into the past and probably do a Revan trilogy, which I'm all for, because now that means you don't have to stick to anything that happened before. You can start fresh and bring dope characters and put your spin on them and shit like that.
I know everyone loves Revan. Everyone wants to see some Revan. But if I'm serious though, there's no reason for them not to do that now. Almost like in the same fashion of like Batman and Robin have a Jedi Knight and his Padawan series, buddy cop or Knight and his Padawan sidekick series going on. That'd be great. I love that.
It'd be crazier for me. I would love to see like a version of that, but for the Sith, like Darth Maul.
I watched the hell out of that.
That'd be amazing. Game of Thrones type shit where it's just Game of Thrones, Star Wars, but for the Sith.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. That'd be, man. I wish that was actually. I don't think Disney would do that. I think the darkest it would go is having a Mandalorian, but as a bounty hunter. But even then, they give him a baby as a sidekick. If they had it for actual Sith. Rule of 2 style. It is called the show. They call the show Rule of 2. Something like that.
See, I was waiting to say that shit. You took my. I was about to say that shit. No, you're good. Hey, Disney, you don't even have to pay us. You don't have to credit us. Just do the shit.
We don't exist. We don't exist. Just give us the show. I'd be happy.
Rule of 2 and just follow like.
If you want to pay us, you're more.
I mean, we're not opposed to cash. Not opposed to cash, but
I'm not turning down money at all. But I just want the content. I don't know what Sly did. That was oops, but
hopefully he's okay. Hope he didn't like he didn't like bounce his check or something. But I hope he's all right.
Yeah, I think that's getting close to time. Before we take off, I want to make sure that you guys get a view of something that we have cooking up that we're dropping next Friday. Something that has been months in the making, and we finally got recorded, edited, and we're going to be doing promo for it. We're going to be showing you guys a clip of the new Loose Cannons episode that we have premiering with the Black Mastodonchi and Mr. The Ignorant Rizzy that we have coming up.
Wait, one quick question before we get to the second round. With Kratos, because we know his backstory with the ashes on his skin. So, like, would lotion, like, get rid of that?
Nah, bro, that's permanent, bro.
That's eternal ash.
That's complete
Jergens ain't doing shit for that. So, like, what if, like, it was, like, some Athena lotion? Like, she made a home brand. Could she make that come off?
I'm going to tell you like this.
By God of War 4, when this man's a grown-ass father with a full-on beard, he still got that gray skin.
Yes.
Even when that man get in the water, that shit doesn't wash off at all. It's still there.
Literally, that's what happens when it's not you lose your black card. That you just perpetually.
Oh, shit.
Damn, he said,
I'm coming off, bro. Buddy, stop laughing at me.
he said my man turned into Sammy Sosa.
Oh, no.
Oh, that was so weird.
Yeah, that was fun to record. I had fun with that one. I was a blast and
It
got
was.
to meet some inspirations of the channel.
It does. And I've got to give a shout out to our boy Otis for the new logo, the new loose cannons logo that we got there at the very end. So cool. And great job editing there, Dev. So.
All right, so yeah, guys, if you guys want to see more of that and how those debates went, again, that was Kratos versus Scorpion and who had the most tragic backstory, and our combatants went through that and slugged it out for 3 hard-fought rounds. So we thank you guys for tuning in, and if you guys want to see more of that, just be ready for Friday. Thank you guys for tuning in. This has been another episode of the Then and Now podcast. We will see you guys next time.
Who did he?
Poo Diddy.
Do better, Disney. Don't become